All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about something that's probably and should be starting to cause some sleepless nights for a lot of folks. As generative AI starts to plug into everything, including our most critical systems like SAP, is it also creating this huge invisible security blind spot, one we're just not ready for? Just think about that for a second. What if you ask your AI for a simple sales summary, but it doesn't just grab the numbers? It learns. It starts connecting dots in the background that you never ever intended. It could piece together your next big product launch or a confidential merger. So this isn't just about who can access data anymore. The real game changer here is unintended data inference. Okay, so let's break down why this is such a fundamental shift. You see, for decades, our entire approach to security was built for the world you see on the left, deterministic systems. You run a SQL query, you get a predictable report. Input A always gives you output B. Simple, right? But AI, over on the right, well, it lives in a probabilistic world. It doesn't just fetch information, it synthesizes new answers. It creates. And that complete rewiring of how data is accessed means our old security models, they're just not built for this fight. And this shift, it doesn't just bend the old rules. It opens up a whole new class of risk. We're talking about these hidden, sneaky dangers that pop up the moment these incredibly powerful AI models get their hands on the crown jewels, your core enterprise data. And look, this isn't just some far-off theoretical problem. These risks are happening right now. An AI could easily stitch together HR and finance data to figure out executive salaries, even if no single person has access to both. Or, and this one's really scary, it could do something called low and slow enumeration. That's where it makes thousands of tiny, harmless-looking queries over weeks or months to slowly piece together a highly sensitive puzzle. Your traditional security, which is always looking for that one big smash-and-grab breach, would be completely blind to it. And that gets us to the absolute core of the problem. Our existing security tools, things like role-based access control, are basically like a bouncer at a nightclub. They're great at checking your ID at the door to see if your name is on the list. They know who you are. But once you're inside, they have zero idea what you're thinking, who you're talking to, or what connections you're making. They can't see the dangerous inferences the AI might be cooking up. Now, here's a really crucial point. The solution here isn't about throwing out decades of security investment. It's not a rip and replace situation. It's about adding a smart, new enforcement layer right on top of what you already have. A layer that's been specifically designed to understand the weird new behaviors of AI. And that is exactly where AegisAI comes into the picture. It's built from the ground up to be that new layer, an AI firewall, a deterministic, predictable solution for a very unpredictable, probabilistic problem. So what is it really? At its heart, AegisAI is a deterministic control layer. The simplest way to think about it is this. It puts a predictable, rules-based fence around the wild, unpredictable world of AI, especially when that AI is roaming across all your critical data in SAP and your different cloud environments. This quote right here, this is the whole philosophy in a nutshell. Instead of spending all your time and energy trying to make the AI itself perfectly trustworthy, which, let's be honest, is a losing battle, you just start with the assumption that it can't be trusted. And then you build a rock-solid, secure perimeter around it. So how does it actually do this? Well, first, it intercepts the user's natural language query. It figures out who they are and what they're allowed to see. It applies clear, deterministic security policies. But here's the real magic, the response firewall. It actually inspects the AI's answer before it gets back to the user. It's that final checkpoint that stops sensitive data or dangerous inferences from ever leaking out. Okay. So let's actually follow the journey of a single, simple request to see how all these pieces work together to create a completely safe query from the moment a user hits enter. This lays it all out pretty clearly. It all starts when a user submits a prompt. The gateway immediately intercepts it and verifies who they are. Then the policy engine checks that request against the security rules you've set up. After that, the query planner intelligently scopes the request, making sure the AI is only allowed to look at approved data. Only then does it go to the back-end systems. But the final and most critical step is the response firewall, which validates the AI's output before it ever sees the light of day. It creates this perfect, secure, and totally auditable chain of custody for every single question asked. But of course, let's be real, no modern company lives in one single, tidy environment. The real test is keeping this level of control when your SAP data is here, your data lakes are over there on AWS, and you've got other bits and pieces on Azure and GCP. And this is where it gets really powerful. AegisAI acts as this one unified policy layer across all of it. So for instance, a query on Azure about payroll trends, it gets checked against your central HR policies, and only a safe, summarized answer comes back. A question about factory performance that touches data in GCP BigQuery, it gets scoped so it can't accidentally reveal which teams are underperforming. A request that involves SAP data on AWS, it gets validated to make sure it doesn't leak sensitive financial risk analysis. It's the exact same protection, the same rules, applied consistently everywhere. So as we start to bring this all together, it's pretty clear that we're talking about more than just a tool. This really represents a fundamental shift in philosophy. It's a whole new way of thinking about how we secure AI inside the enterprise. You know, the common approach on the left is basically to try and trust the AI. We spend countless hours on prompt engineering and model alignment, essentially just crossing our fingers and hoping the AI behaves itself. The Aegis AI principle is completely different. It starts by saying, nope, we're not hoping, we're enforcing. It assumes the AI is unpredictable and instead builds a predictable, deterministic perimeter around it. It's the difference between hoping for the best and guaranteeing the rules are followed. And that brings us right back to this core idea, the one thing you should remember from all of this. The philosophy is so simple and so powerful. You don't trust the AI. You enforce security around the AI. So I'll just leave you with this final question. Your AI is constantly learning with every single query, every single day. The question is, are you really controlling not just what it's allowed to know, but more importantly, what it's allowed to say?